Hello and welcome to a new Practical Sheets video where we're going to discuss dropdowns, but dropdowns in tables. So this is a new feature in 2024 where in Sheets you can have data better organized within tables, and this has some advantages and disadvantages regarding tables that we're going to look at today. So I hope you enjoy it, and if you want to download this and more than 150 templates and ask me any questions about the videos, please consider subscribing to the Patreon page. If not, just subscription to the channel is more than enough. Thank you, and let's begin. Let's discuss how dropdowns work, or how do they relate with the new feature from Google Sheets from 2024, the tables. Let's say we have some countries that we want to use in a form or in a request where I want to know if my user, from which country is my user, okay? So we could do it in the same, for the sake of the example and simplicity, we're going to do it in the same sheet. Normally you'll keep it in separate sheets. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to create, I don't want to call it table, but a basic table, and then we're going to convert it into a structured table. So let's say I want my user, that could be the email or the user ID, and then a country. So let's say we have user 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then I want to add different countries. Let's say we're going to add Colombia, and then Mexico, and Canada, and Mexico again. What I want to do is that for the next users, it's easier to input the information based on the countries that we already have. We could do this in a number of ways. A first way would be to do a drop-down just selecting these 4 data points, and let's go to insert, drop-down, and it will create automatically a drop-down with these 4 countries. Given that I want to extend the scope, so we're going to say that this goes up to E. Let's click done, and the next time you want to do it, I already have it. This is a very basic way of doing it, with the problem that if then I want to add new countries, let's say here I add Argentina. First, the data validation does not allow me to add Argentina. So I would need to go here and to advanced options and tell it to just show a warning. Let's do done, and then again Argentina. But again, the problem is I would then have to add it every time. So I could remove the drop-down, select again, add the new rule, and then add it up until the end. This is one way of doing it. This is where drop-downs come in. Actually, a better way of doing it is to have the country list in another place. So I'm going to remove this and add a rule, or just go again to insert, drop down, but now it won't be, the criteria won't be drop down, but will be drop down from a range. And then I'm going to select a range. The range will be this. Maybe I could even extend it further. So if I have new countries, this is much better, because if I add a new country, you say, I have it here automatically. I don't need to remove the drop down and then add it again. And if I want to have it up until the end, I will just remove the number 7 and leave it open. Actually, let me give a bit more of zoom and click done. This is how we normally used to work with drop-downs. Now that we have tables, things may be just a bit easier. Okay, so let's add a new sheet. Say this before 24, 23, and then after 23. So again, I'm going to have a country, and let's bring the countries I already had. Now what I'm going to do is transform this into a table. So let's go to format and then convert to table. And maybe I'll do this so you can see better, even this. So now we don't have drop downs here, but again, I can convert it very easily just with this arrow, I go to edit column type, and let's go to drop down, and it will do what I did last time here. So it'll create a very basic drop down, but you can see that it's not from a range. It's just, again, took the data that it had here and it converted to a drop down that it think would be the best. When I add a new row, add any of these three countries, what happens if I add Argentina? Two things happen. The first one is that drop-downs in sheets are not restricted by nature. They cannot be restricted. They will always allow new data to be inserted. So this is good or bad depending on how you see it. In this case, that I always want to add new countries, it may be good. The bad thing is that if you add another one, 7, Argentina is not in the drop-down. I would need to remove it and add it. So a way of doing this is edit column type, let's hit none, and then again edit column type, and let's hit drop down, and now I have Argentina. But it's a repetitive process that we don't like. Here we like automation. So this is what we're going to try to do. So I'm going to bring this list of countries here. And what I'm going to do is change my dropdown. I'm going to close this so you know how to access the dropdown. It's a bit different from what we normally do. There are two ways of doing it. The first one is going to the row, then to this arrow, edit column type, and then hit dropdown again. This is one way of doing it. The other way is just selecting any of these dropdowns and then click on this pencil. Be careful, because when you do this in a traditional dropdown that is not in a table, it could yield unpleasant results. In this case, in the table, it will go to the rule. If I do it if I do the same thing in a rule where there's no table, it will go to the specific cell, not to the whole rule. But in the table, it does. So you can change it any of these two ways. So again, I'm going to select any of the drop downs, go to the pencil, know that I'm selecting the entire rule. I'm going to change this to drop down from range, and then I'm going to select all of this data, and I will leave a couple of slots for new countries. Let's do OK. And now, I forgot to click done, and now I have USA. The thing about tables, the nice thing about tables that you may have noticed is that if I add a new row, the dropdown automatically expands to this new row. So I don't have to do this, that it's not that visually nice, where I need to have these empty dropdowns here. I only have it up until the end of my table, and if I need to add a new row, it automatically adds the new dropdowns. This is really nice, a very, very welcome addition. But if I add a new, we still have the same problem as before. If I had, let's say, Spain, I could add it, because remember that dropdowns in tables allow other answers with this red arrow, but I don't have it in my dropdown. So I would need to add Spain here. The not so nice thing is that I remember that in my dropdown I had to leave this open, and you don't know how many rows do I need to have it open for. E10, E20, what I normally do is leave this open until 500,000, so I could put however many countries or options I want. So we can take this to another level, much better, and is that I could convert this into a table. So as we did before, I'm going to format, convert to table, or Ctrl-Alt-T, and now I have this table that I'm going to name country list, and this one I'm going to call user list or traveler list. And now what I'm going to do is, again, click here, click on my pencil, and actually I'm going to do one thing before. I'm going to select here, I'm going to type =, and I'm going to select all of these countries. Why did I do that? Why do I do this? So I could get this notation is the one I'm going to need to refer for my dropdown. So I'm going to copy this because unfortunately today the dropdowns are not very smart and this is not suggested in my dropdown. You see what I mean? You'll see what I mean in a minute. So I'll copy it and then again I go to my dropdown rule, click the pencil, and here instead of this I'm going to paste. If I start writing country list, I don't get anything. Even if I go here and I start writing country list, I don't get any help from sheet. I don't know why. So I'm going to paste with an equal sign, country list, countries. Actually, I don't think I need the equal sign. Let's hit done. And now you can see that I have all my countries. And if I add a new country, so let's click here, Japan, automatically my dropdown has Japan, and I didn't need to leave this with additional slots like I did at the beginning, you know? So this is very nice about dropdown. So what we did today is link two tables so that one table will be the dropdown of another one. And what we could do in the next video is do dependent dropdowns using tables and see how far we can get this. Just leave me your suggestions in the comments and we can do a part 2. Thank you so much. See you next time.